It is so easy to help out local charities if you've got a few extra bucks these days. Just go to Google and type in local food bank, or domestic violence shelters, which are playing crucial roles during this crisis, or local animal rescue. No, I was not talking about Carol Baskins. Her tigers are already well fed. But there is no shortage of need out there right now, and many of us just wish we could help a little more. A lot of celebrities are leading by example, making huge donations, giving away cash like Oprah. Literally like Oprah, who pledged $10 million herself to groups fighting hunger and fighting the pandemic. But I'm here to talk about people who aren't doing as much as they can. Specifically, dozens and dozens of former Congress members I found hoarding old campaign cash that they don't need anymore, but that they also won't give to charity, as so many of their former colleagues have done when they retired. How much are we talking about here? $200 million worth of campaign cash sitting in the accounts of politicians who no longer have campaigns. Do you know how many meals that would buy for kids who are missing out on school lunch? Or how many mental health counselors that would fund for depressed, displaced workers? Or how many haircuts that could purchase for those of us who have had to resort to doing it ourselves? Instead, these politicians have exploited loopholes in campaign finance laws that don't actually require them to close down their campaigns even when their careers are dead. Literally. I found campaigns of dead politicians still active in spending, like Hawaii's Mark Takai, whose campaign blew through more than $100 grand of his old campaign cash after the congressman passed away in 2016. And it may not even be illegal, because almost anything goes under America's campaign finance system. See, the Federal Election Commission tells politicians to do one of three things with leftover funds when a campaigner stops campaigning: refund donors, which seldom happens, give it to another political committee, or donate to charity. But the FEC doesn't really enforce the law, so it's up to each politician to close down the accounts and give away his or her funds. Some don't. Like former Florida Rep Cliff Stearns, who's been dipping into his old fund for 7 years to pay for things like fancy meals, hotel stays, and a salary for his wife. In fact, in the last year, he's reported giving less to charity than the 12 grand he gave to his wife to fill out a few short compliance forms. And this is a guy sitting on $1.3 million of other people's money he just can't let go of. Watchdogs are not amused.
Campaign funds are supposed to be used to support a politician's duty as a public official while in office. They should not be able to be used to support a candidate's post-office lifestyle.
So given the great needs created by the coronavirus crisis, I started reaching out to all of these former Congress members to see if they would commit to releasing these funds for charity. One of the first to say yes, former Florida Congressman Mark Foley. He's been holding on to his old campaign cash ever since he resigned in disgrace almost 14 years ago, but showed me how this March he started cutting $10,000 checks to South Florida charities that help the underserved. Then former Montana Senator Max Baucus told me he would commit tens of thousands of dollars too to local food banks and restaurant worker relief funds.
And what I'd like to do, frankly, is challenge every other former member of Congress, the Senate, who has campaign funds left over, to do the same. It's a good opportunity for members of Congress who ran for those jobs in the first instance because they wanted to serve. And here's another way for them to continue to serve people.
Again, we're talking about $200 million in potential charitable giving from former lawmakers. Even tiny slices of that would do wonders for groups that help first responders, or the elderly, or those who can't afford groceries, like Daniel's Table in Massachusetts.
We're now feeding thousands, where prior to this, we were feeding hundreds. We're operating 14 to 16 hours a day right now. And so we really don't have the time to fundraise.
So that brings me to more of the politicians who haven't been as receptive to my message. Like former South Carolina Congressman Robin Talon, who left the House 27 years ago, but has kept his campaign open all this time, paying for things like personal computers and country club dues. Former Congressman Tom Price, who's got $1.7 million in the bank and a bleak political future after resigning his cabinet position amid scandal in 2017. And former Rep. Michelle Bachmann, who told me, after I asked about the $1.6 million she's been sitting on for more than 5 years, the campaign made a donation to charity in 2019, and there are plans to continue with donations this year as well. First of all, that one donation to charity is the only one she's made in 5 years, and it accounted for less than 2% of the stash she's been hanging on to. Second of all, that 2019 donation was to the Family Research Council, a Washington think tank dedicated to promoting and defending traditional American values. It's totally legal, but it's not exactly the kind of nonprofit feeding America during this crisis. Finally, when I asked Bachmann about her plans to continue with donations this year as well, she had no comment and no 2020 donations to report. Congresswoman, it's not too late. You and all the other zombie politicians can take these donations, originally given to you to go and make America better, and do just that. People are hurting, and you have the power to do some amazing good. Then tell us about them here at NBCLX. We'll celebrate those donations and hopefully inspire others to do the same. It would be awesome to spread something other than germs this spring.